Let's start with the series that just ended. The Timberwolves have completed their sweep of the Phoenix Suns 122-116, and it was a big second half from Anthony Edwards, who, in the first half, I really didn't think, scoring-wise, obviously, it wasn't as much, but he was still getting off the ball quickly, and I think that's one of the key developments and storylines in this series is that Anthony Edwards' playmaking and his willingness to get off the ball and be unselfish is just a giant development for the Timberwolves, because that trust has paid off. Jaden McDaniels and Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Anthony Edwards, that three-man group just blitzed the Suns this entire series. The entire series, this team has just been more physical than the Suns. They've been bigger than the Suns. They've used their size over the Suns. And aside from Game 4, guys like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jaden McDaniels just outplayed Devin Booker and Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant. And then Anthony Edwards, he has been the best player in this entire series. And in the second half, he just took over. That fourth quarter was a spiritual experience. It felt like we were watching the arrival of Anthony Edwards. And, there were not questions, but, Anthony Edwards was going to have to grow up fast and take the reins of this team, given where the roster is just finance-wise, the crunch that the team is going to face, and who knows what's going to happen with this whole ownership shit. But Anthony Edwards at the age of 22 is a capital S superstar. And he played like it. He played like it on both ends. He took it to Bradley Beal. He took it to Devin Booker. He took it to Kevin Durant. Made pull-up shot after pull-up shot. Late shot clock, post fadeaway over Bradley Beal on the right side of the floor. Pull-up three off the dribble in the corner right in front of the Wolves bench to put the Wolves up 3. Just big shot after big shot after big shot. He had 18 points in the fourth quarter of Game 3. The Wolves top down were just the better team. Just flat out. The Suns' depth was exposed, and, we'll do a Suns retrospective here, soon, or, in the offseason, but the Suns, outside of their big three, just had their roster kind of exposed. The lack of depth. Eric Gordon played 39 minutes, only went 2 for 7 from the field, and passed up open looks, and then his misses from 3 were really bad. You were stuck in a position of not being able to play Drew Eubanks because he stunk, but then do you really trust Bol Bol? And then the Suns really, when it came down to it, had a rotation of 6 guys and maybe 14 or 20 minutes for Josh Okogie and Nasir Little. But Naz Reid played well in this series. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Mike Conley, made timely shots, had timely deflections, timely assists. This Timberwolves team really showed me a lot in this series, because one of the questions going in was, what was their playoff offense going to look like? That was fine. Now, maybe obviously the Suns are just a smaller team and just offer less resistance defensively, so the Wolves took advantage of that. But hey, I guess that just shows right there that the Wolves were the better team. They just dominated the Suns thoroughly, and even in this close game, it just felt like they could get whatever they wanted. Karl Anthony Towns had a fantastic game offensively. Really thought his third quarter was huge when Gobert went down with, the foul trouble and was taken out, and Karl Anthony Towns made some big threes, some big mid-range jumpers. But I can't wait for that Wolves-Nuggets series next round, because, boy, that one is going to be interesting. Let's go on to the next interesting series, and that's the Sixers-Knicks. And I don't want to get bogged down in the war going on between the Knicks and the Sixer fans, and then the referees and, flagrant fouls and all that stuff. Just straight up basketball-wise, this has been a fun series. Maybe obviously not for me because, my team is down 3-1, but just objectively speaking, the physical nature of these games, how close they've been, and, just how many big-time performances we've had from both stars, from Embiid, Maxey, and Brunson. But really, this series comes down to 3 things for me. 1, in the clutch moments in these games, and again, all these games have been super close, The Knicks just get the timely deflection, the timely loose ball, the timely offensive rebound, just the stuff that the gritty, tough teams do. They're able to scrape out an extra possession, get an extra defensive stop here or there, and those are the little marginal things that the Knicks are beating the Sixers in right now. The Knicks had 7 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter. The Sixers fouled a bunch trying to keep the Knicks off the offensive glass, and the offense was just stuck in the mud. The Knicks throwing OG Anunoby on Joel Embiid kind of, slowed the Sixers offense. OG Anunoby was fronting, and then help would come from the backside, or the weak side, and Embiid did make correct reads, but guys like Maxey, he had an open 3 with the Knicks up 2 with 3 minutes left, and it was a straight double from one pass away. McBride came over, Embiid gave it to Maxey, and Maxey misses a wide open 3. It's just those little things like that the Knicks just seemingly kept coming up with compared to the Sixers. Number 2, the offensive rebounding, of course. I think the offensive rebounding in today's game was kind of like game 1, where the Sixers just got pounded on the offensive glass. They had 15 offensive rebounds for the game. In total for the series, the Knicks have 61 offensive rebounds and have scored 79 second chance points off those offensive rebounds. Meanwhile, the Sixers have had 36 offensive rebounds, 40 second chance points. So the Knicks are just getting extra possessions, scoring on them. What's crazy is the Knicks' offensive rebounding rate with Isaiah Hartenstein off the floor and Mitchell Robinson off the floor is absolutely ridiculous. The Knicks have a 73% offensive rebounding rate with Hartenstein off the floor. So really, the Knicks small ball lineup is just dominating the offensive glass, and that's got to be infuriating. It was really an embarrassing rebounding effort on the Sixers' part in this game, and that's a big reason why they are down 3-1 in this series. The other big reason why they are down in this series is the Sixers just cannot be a functional team when Joel Embiid is on the bench. The Sixers are a minus 36, I believe it is, now through 4 games when Embiid is on the bench, and the Sixers are a plus 34 with Embiid on the court. It's the same story every playoffs. Embiid either gets injured, underperforms, but still has a great impact to where the Sixers are winning his minutes on the court. And then when he goes to the bench, it's just a struggle to even survive those minutes. And it kind of just shows that also Maxey still has room to grow as the guy who's the second best player on a championship team, at least if that's what the goal is supposed to be. Because, really could have used a big second half from him. And he wasn't there in the fourth quarter either. And because the Sixers are so dysfunctional when Embiid sits, Paul Reed was a -6 today in 4 minutes. Kind of like what happened in the Raptors series in 2019, where Game 7, Greg Monroe was a -10 in 3 minutes. So Nick Nurse, and I really didn't think he should have done this, but Nick Nurse did not bench Embiid to start the fourth quarter to give him his rest. He decided to play Embiid the whole second half, really the last 7 minutes of the second quarter, and then the whole second half. So he played for 32 straight minutes of game time. And with that big body, you just knew that Embiid was going to be gassed by the end. And he made 0 shots in the fourth quarter, only had 1 free throw, and the Sixers were just toast at that point. I really don't put a lot of blame on Embiid in this series, much like I did last year. And then, I do place some blame on him in the Atlanta series, even though I think most of that was Doc and Ben Simmons. But this is kind of just the story of the Embiid era. Not good enough or healthy enough to drag the Sixers to a conference finals. And then when he's off the court, the Sixers team is just a lottery team when Embiid doesn't play. But regardless, this just shows that the Knicks role players, I think, are just infinitely more athletic, younger, scrappier, tougher than the Sixers role players, who I love Kyle Lowry and Nick Batum, but they're 38 and 35 years old respectively. Kelly Oubre, I love Kelly Oubre and what he brought this year, but a pull-up 3 in crunch time with a 3-point game and Maxey and Embiid don't touch the ball, the decisions he made on the defensive end, fouling jump shooters, it's that type of stuff where it was like, okay, if he's getting big minutes for a playoff team, the role player, it was just a stark difference between the Knicks role players and the Sixers role players in this series. Buddy Hield has given nothing. We are cheering that Cam Payne is ahead of Buddy Hield in the rotation because Cam Payne will actually give some dribbling and shooting. And then the Knicks they play physical and they take out Maxey and Embiid and just try to make the other guys beat you. Tobias Harris, I can't wait for Tobias Harris to be off this team. I'm done. 11 buckets this entire series. $39 million. So the Knicks are the tougher, better team. That's the bottom line. I really don't see how the Sixers win Game 5. Crazier things have happened, but I just don't see how the Sixers are coming back and winning the series. I think it's over on Tuesday. Knicks have been the better team.